I wish to announce that the Democratic Party is going to hit the political ground hard as the Democratic Party. And I wish to make the following announcements. First, we have a roadmap which requires us to comply with the Political Parties and Organizations Act. The Political Parties and Organizations Act requires that every political party should renew the mandate of its national leadership in the 4th year of Parliament. That means that renewal must take place before the end of June this year for all political parties. Because of COVID, many political parties did not hold national conferences for their political parties. For many parties that are not democratic, that was an excuse. Actually, every party is struggling with that, except DP, because for us, we held a fully fledged delegates conference in Gulu in 2020. So, the second announcement is that all members of DP should know that the party is run on the basis of a constitution. The party is not run on the basis of people's feelings and opinions. Sometimes I hear people erupting on social media, making absurd statements, but that's not how an institution is run. DP has a constitution which is 70 years old. I'm not the author of that constitution. I'm just its guardian. According to the constitution, the president of the party is the chief spokesperson of the party, and he has the last word on what the position of the party is. Also, according to the constitution of the party, the Secretary General is in charge of all correspondences of the party. So I call upon all the party members to ignore and disregard any pronouncements, proclamations, and statements from people who are not authorized by the Constitution. I also call upon party members to disregard and ignore any correspondence which is not coming from the office of the Secretary General. I think that will allow members to be at peace. So, in the next 6 weeks, we shall be holding meetings of the National Executive Committee and the National Council back to back within the next 6 weeks. The National Executive Committee is the directorate of the party. It has about 55 members. The National Council comprises all the members of the National Executive Committee, that is the 55 members. Take or leave, because some people left the leadership positions to which they were elected. In addition to the National Executive Committee, the National Council also has all the chairpersons of the district branches of the Democratic Party. And in addition to those two, the National Council also comprises the parliamentary group. The parliamentary group means all those who contested on the DP ticket, whether they were successful or unsuccessful. In DP, to belong to the parliamentary group, you need not have won elections even if you lost parliamentary elections, you remain a member of the DP parliamentary group. Now, those are the formal meetings, and those are the organs of the political party. We call them organs because they are decision-making organs. Whatever they decide is what we are all required to comply with. I know many times individuals and groups hold meetings, and they baptize those meetings DP meetings. But when you have a meeting which is not of an organ of the party, then it cannot make binding decisions. The constitution of the party also declares that the president of the party is the chief executive officer. A chief executive officer can make binding decisions on behalf of the party, and then the organs of the party can review those decisions, because I'm required to report the decisions that I make on behalf of the party. I'm also pleased to inform all our members that the compilation of the National Register of Members countrywide started well and is going on well. And it is based strictly on the registers that were issued by the party headquarters. Some people mistakenly think that they can go and manufacture registers from their computers and call them DP registers. Those are not DP registers. Otherwise, anybody would be able to issue national IDs, because I am sure many of you know how to print the national ID. And you can even print the forms. But those do not make them valid national IDs. So I wish to warn those who have been registering members on fake registers that members who are registered on fake registers are not members of DP. Now, we must draw a clear line between members and supporters. Many times supporters have a lot of energy and they assume that they are actually members of the party. That's not necessarily true. When members are sitting as members, only paid up members. So, as we head to the delegates conference, you need to know who delegates are. First and foremost, delegates include all members of the National Council, which means members of the National Executive Committee, and it also includes the parliamentary group, as I mentioned, and it includes all the chairpersons of district branches. According to the Constitution, delegates will be comprised also of 3 representatives or delegates from every district. And those representatives include the chairperson, it includes the woman leader of the district, it includes the youth leader of the district. Then in addition, there will be 2 other delegates from every constituency countrywide. The quorum of the National Delegates Conference is 1/3 of those people, 30%, for the Delegates Conference to proceed. Those who will be attending the delegates conference will be subjected to scrutiny by a credentials committee. A credentials committee basically determines that you are a delegate based on a proper constitutional procedure. And in addition to that, all delegates will receive an invitation from the office of the Secretary General. So, to become a delegate in the Democratic Party, you don't just sit in your compound and declare that you're a delegate. Also, to become a member, you don't just declare that you're a member of the party. For instance, I'm a member of the Roman Catholic Church. It doesn't come because of wearing a rosary. You can wear the biggest rosary and as many as you want. Unless you are baptized and confirmed, you are not a member of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. So if you are not on the DP register, you are clearly not a member. That's a constitutional question. It is not a question of social media discussions or any other kind of debate. So, I am satisfied that 2025 gives us an opportunity to identify the true believers in our party. A question is being asked. What about those who left the party and want to come back? And that question is on everybody's lips. And those who are affected by that question are very many, because there are two categories. The first category are the lost sheep. We have the lost sheep of DP. Young people who were confused. We shall look for them and bring them back home, because we know they got lost sincerely. Then we have got the prodigal sons and daughters of our party. For those who read the Bible, you know the story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son got crazy ideas and decided to abandon his inheritance, like some of the people who abandoned DP. They are actually heirs of DP, but they decided to go for what they thought were better opportunities. We are not going to look for the prodigal sons and daughters of DP. We have no time for that. They know the way home. We shall be waiting for them at the gate here. Fortunately, many of them are suffering where they are. They are having a very bad time. They are being mistreated. They are being insulted. And I'm sure many of them will ask themselves, but don't we have a home where we are loved? When they come to that realization, they'll start the painful journey back home. It's my duty as president of the party to assure them that we shall welcome them with open arms. After all, I don't own the party. I'm probably the only party leader who is not a founder of the party that I lead. All the other parties, apart from maybe UPC, are led by people who are leading their thing, so to speak. DP is not my thing. I will never put DP in my will for my children to inherit. I don't own DP. An heir to the founders. Like I've said before, in Arabic, I would be called Al-Khalifa, which in Luganda means Omusika. Now, to those who are faithful to the party, your father's heir is in reality your father. No matter what you think about him, even if he's younger than you, even if you think he's an idiot, on account of being your father's heir, he becomes your father. And that is why I conduct myself like a father to all the DP members, no matter what they say about me. Many people comment about how we lead our party. Some people think we are soft, but that's what it means to be a father. I know in other parties, if you insult the party president, the next day you are dismissed from your office. That's not the way we are in DP. So I call upon all members to maintain that culture of inclusiveness. One day there will be a DP without Norbert Mao. Just like there is now a DP without the 8 founders. Just like there is now a DP without our former party presidents. Anyway, we are talking about renewal. I myself am a product of renewal. That's why I'm the party president. So soon, all the positions in the party will be open for competition. There is no position in DP which is ring-fenced. Tewali atavuganyizibwa in DP. Those who are on the register and who comply with the requirements of the Constitution will be eligible to contest. Fortunately, in DP, even if you have not been a member of the party for long and you want to contest for a position, it is possible to get a waiver from the National Executive Committee. That is how flexible our party is. So all the sub-branch and branch executive committee members shall be elected based on the register of members. In the next 2 weeks, we shall install a toll-free telephone line to facilitate any kind of inquiries. Why are we doing this? Because we must move on with the times. The system of registration of Mr. Herbert Rutagwera, our National Organizing Secretary, needs to be complemented by a system which is compliant to the Gen Z. The Gen Z don't want to come here to pick forms and so on. They want to go to the website, and indeed we have a website, which is democraticparty.ug. So that IT-based registration platform will be most convenient for members who are seeking registration. Again, I warn those who are purporting to create structures outside the party constitution to desist from doing so forthwith, because those informal structures will not be recognized and will be disbanded anyway. The party constitution empowers the National Executive Committee to do everything possible to safeguard the interests of the party. I think some of you still remember what we did here in Kampala. In Kampala, we had a renegade leadership that was running things parallel to the constitution of the party. So the National Executive Committee disbanded summarily the Executive Committee of Kampala. And we shall not hesitate to do that for any group. Why are we doing that? People should know where we got this party. Actually, most of those commenting about DP do not know where DP was by the time I took office. Number one, DP did not have any headquarters worth talking about. I don't know whether there's any of you ever visited DP headquarters around the time 2007, 2008, 2009. DP had 6 or 7 members of parliament. But we got into that position because of mistakes that we made as a party. Some of those mistakes centered on allowing other people to think for us. I think DP members like tuning into other people's opinions so much that they forget who they are. That is how, in the year 2000, we abandoned our own leaders and we decided to rally around somebody who was running away from the NRM. In the year 2000. The good thing is that the current generation that is leading DP is extremely shrewd and wide awake. And we love it when we are underestimated, particularly me. And that's why we will keep on surprising people. So we succeeded because we ended the era of people taking DP as their playground. When I became president of DP, I decided that we shall have a policy of constant battle. And that is still our policy. So we decided that DP will not be anybody's playground. Anybody who wants DP to be a playground will realize that DP is actually a battleground. Fortunately, not many people are prepared for battle the way we are prepared. So we promised battle again as usual, because we are the most battle-hardened generation of DP leaders. We have been sued more than 80 times, and we have won all the court cases. Other political actors have tried to infiltrate DP using structures like Subi. We did battle with them. When we started building a kind of alliance under the DP reunion, another group tried to overrun the party. Again, we made sure that there was enough battle for them. So anybody who is considering coming to play in DP must be prepared for a very, very hard and bitter battle. So why are we doing this battle? Because we must hand over this party to the next generation of leaders. The next leadership of DP will be from the generation born in the 80s and 90s. For us, we are preparing the stage for their taking over of this party. Fortunately, people who want to play games are well known to us. They have a record. Let me now turn to the question of the actual national elections. Many people ask questions. Will DP field candidates? If I wanted to be impolite, I would say, what a stupid question. Of course, DP will field candidates. And the first candidate in DP is the presidential candidate. Because in DP, the person elected president of the party is automatically the flag bearer for the presidency of Uganda. DP is not an NGO. So those who want to lead DP are not coming to be leaders of an NGO. They must have the willingness, interest, and capacity to run for president of Uganda. So I hear many people declaring interest to be president of DP. That is all and well. But do people see you as a president of Uganda, first and foremost? Do people develop that picture in their heads when you say you want to be president of DP? What is your track record on national issues? So whoever will be elected president of the party will be the flag bearer for the presidency of Uganda. As I have announced before, and I announce again today, I will be in that contest to lead the party in order to lead the preparation of the next generation of Ugandan leaders, and also to engage with all the other forces about the future of Uganda. Now, there's going to be a lot of discussions about the future of Uganda. Before you elect a party leader for DP, ask yourself, can that person be taken seriously when they are seated at the table where national issues are going to be discussed? Or they will be seen as some lightweight Mickey Mouse nobody? Do they have the gravitas, the knowledge, the international exposure, and the political acumen? So I ask DP leaders, don't lower the standard of your party now. However desperate you are, don't lower the standard of your party. Because the politics of transition is like the politics of FIFA. It is not about of my village football tournament. I believe that with this kind of guidance, our members will not be distracted. There's a lot of sloganeering going on, and there's no discussion which is out of bounds. After all, DP was there before NRM. DP was there before all the political parties in Uganda. So after choosing a presidential flag bearer, then we shall invite applications for those who want to contest for parliament. I already see some banners on our office walls. I hope the treasurer is going to charge them for displaying posters. Going around saying that it is very hard now to be a DP candidate. Why? That when you go to declare that you are DP, they ask you, which DP are you? Others say, we understand your party was sold. Others say, we understand you are now all NRM. I wish there was a tax on stupidity. Uganda would be a very rich country. Political parties have a way of relating with each other. And the lowest level of relationship is what they call cooperation. After cooperation, then you have got what they call an alliance. After alliance, you have what they call a coalition. After a coalition, then you have a merger. DP has not merged with NRM. DP is not even in coalition with NRM. DP is not even in an alliance with NRM. DP is in cooperation with NRM. The way you can have a cooperation to fight Al-Shabaab in Somalia, it doesn't mean that members of UPDF have now joined the Somali army or the Rwanda army or whichever army is part of AMISOM. It is like when two companies have a joint venture. It doesn't mean that now the two companies are dissolved. Perhaps the best example is that of the Interreligious Council of Uganda. You have Muslims, the Orthodox faith, Protestants, Catholics, the born again. They form the Interreligious Council of Uganda, but it doesn't mean that now the Mufti is going to eat pork. I think only a stupid Muslim would ask the Mufti, did you eat pork during lunch at your meeting? And perhaps none of the other religious leaders will be asked, have you now been circumcised? Therefore, we will only engage with those who are serious. I urge DP members, please ignore those who are not serious. 2025 is a serious season, and we are not going to be engaging with those who are not serious. DP is still there, and we have our plans, and not all our plans are for the public consumption. But DP want to be at the center of the discussion about the future of Uganda. And whatever we are doing is to make sure that DP is not relegated. I am confident that DP will continue to be relevant because of what we stand for, the ideas that we stand for. I am pleased that because of our strong stand on the question of national dialogue, on the question of peaceful transition, on the question of national reconciliation and constitutional reforms, everybody is now talking our language. Actually, to be relevant in Uganda, you must now speak the language of Norbert Mao and the language of DP. Yet, ironically, they first insulted us. So, how are you going to discuss the future of Uganda without engaging with the national resistance movement? I think I respect more those who have declared armed rebellion, because for them they are being sincere. They have concluded that they cannot talk to the government in power. They have picked up arms. Actually, I respect them. I don't agree with them. I think they are wrong, but I respect them more than the masqueraders in Kampala. Traders, they only think cooperation is about dining. So they say, you are dining with the dictator. But we are also working, by the way. Apart from dining, we are also working. Because you can't dine 24 hours. There are members of parliament who earn more than me from the same source. I don't have any special incentive, maybe apart from the government car and the fuel they put in. Those are the special privileges. But otherwise, my pay slip is headed Parliament of Uganda. That's where I also get my salary from. Therefore, I would like to encourage the true believers of DP not to be shakeable. In Kampala, we have created 5 districts because of the population. It is extremely unfair for Kampala to have 1 district. So Kampala, as a metropolitan region, will have more delegates than any other part of Uganda because of the population. Because we have Rubaga district, and in Rubaga district we shall have delegates for the district and delegates for the 2 constituencies, Rubaga North and Rubaga South. Then we have the district of Kampala Central, we have the district of Nakawa, we have the district of Makindye, and we have the district of Kawempe. That is Kampala. Of course, this region of Buganda is a major target for the Democratic Party. This is where DP was born, so to speak. And we cannot abandon it. We call upon the NRM to engage seriously with serious actors. Otherwise, the politics of Uganda will be left to groups like Fangon and so on. Because if you ignore the serious people, that's what you'll have to deal with sooner or later. So it is a very, very important choice. And these are people who are based right here. Why is Buganda important? And unfortunately, many people who talk about Buganda have not studied Buganda actually, including the Baganda themselves. Let me say something briefly. Buganda is preeminent in Uganda based on the following considerations, which are really obvious. And you don't have to be emotional about it. Whether you are looking at demographic size, that's the population, the land size, the location, the levels of economic development, education, and commerce bequeathed by the colonial order. The answer is the same, that Buganda enjoys particular preeminence in our country. So you have to deal with it. It has nothing to do with the king. It has nothing to do with, because people confuse those two things. Therefore, Buganda is what, to use Professor Mazurui's words, should be called the heartland tribe. Heartland means the core. Is the heartland tribe of Uganda. The way Prussia was to Germany. Those of you who study history, you remember Prussia. So Prussia was to Germany what Buganda is to Uganda. Now you start from there. So DP believes that if Buganda is not engaged, or if it is outrightly opposed, or if it is sulking at a critical moment like this, then no national endeavor of consequence can be realized. Because Buganda can interfere. We have seen this in the history anyway. DP has been a victim of that. Because Buganda was sulking after the Lancaster talks. That's actually how DP lost power. I don't want to pass judgment on whether we managed it well or whether we managed it badly, but I'm only stating the fact that the Buganda question determined what Uganda would be later. It became the birthmark. Just like in Africa, you need South Africa and Nigeria. Whether you like Nigerians, whether you hate them, whether you like South Africans, whether you hate them, but if those two walked away of the African Union would be thoroughly diminished. Also, in the world today, if the United States, China, and Russia, particularly the United States and China, are opposed to any international endeavor, then it is dead on arrival. Now, this is the other side which many people don't think about. When Buganda acts unilaterally, alone, when Buganda acts alone, ignoring what the rest of the country is thinking, then automatically they provoke a pushback from the rest of the country. But when they are part of a concerted effort, then its legitimacy is enhanced. That is why you had a lot. Thank you, Secretary General. That's why you had a lot during the coffee debate. Because Buganda weighed in very strongly. But Buganda also has its interests, its cherished aspirations. So, Buganda and Uganda have got to engage. We cannot afford a mutually blocking situation. We cannot afford what is called a zero-sum game. If Uganda was a normal country, Buganda would be the natural engine of Uganda's development, providing leadership, but more importantly, avoiding the temptation of domination. Those of you who read Shakespeare, you know the play called Measure for Measure. It says, even if you have the energy of a giant, don't use it like a giant. Even if you have the strength and energy of a giant, don't use it like a giant. So we need a very honest debate, and only DP, again, can really lead this debate, like we led it in the 60s. Because in the 60s, DP said, keep the king out of partisan politics. We were ignored and insulted, but we were eventually proved right. Read the book called The Desecration of My Kingdom. If you don't have a copy, I'm going to send each of you a copy. It is a book written by the king himself from exile. So, we cannot afford Buganda becoming an embattled kingdom. We want a Buganda which is at ease, confident, and feeling that it is a preeminent but equal partner for the construction of national unity. I can tell you that so far, this government has done certain things that are positive. Number one is the restoration of properties that belong to the kingdom. The so-called Ebiafe. And the failure by the government to articulate those contributions to engaging Buganda has allowed the lumpen political class to come in and fire up people based on issues that are not substantive, because the government is quiet. Indeed, it is said, when wise people keep quiet, fools dominate the debate. So far, most of the properties have been returned. There's only a discussion of properties in Buruli, in the areas of Nakasongola. This is a straightforward demand. They have been identified, they have been verified, and the matter should be settled without any fanfare. That matter is at the Ministry of Justice. It is not handled in public view, but I can confirm that it's time for the government to explain to the people of Buganda that there is an engagement at that level to ensure redress. Then we come to the second other issue, devolution, or federal as it is called. This is the DP position. The DP position on federal is that federal is not a Buganda issue. It is a Uganda issue. Why? There is no community that filled an application form to belong to Uganda. They actually did not fill an application form, neither did the Baganda, Banyankole, Bakiga, Batoro, Bagisu, and the others. The Odoki Commission of 1995 reported that over 65% of respondents in our country favored a federal system of governance. In 2008, I wrote a paper which I presented at the Buganda conference. And I gave it a cheeky title, Who Fears Federalism? I said, federalism is the highest stage of decentralization. Decentralization must grow. But right now, even the decentralization we have in Uganda is stunted. You can see the state of our districts. They are effectively impotent. Now, since we started with Bidandi Sali who declared the government policy of decentralization. We needed to keep growing. Instead, there is a clawback. There is even a debate about whether the technocrats of Kampala City are better than the politicians. Because the time the politicians were there, in their own way, the city was being managed. Now the technocrats are there. I read Andrew Mwenda writing an article saying if somebody came to Kampala, they would ask, has there been a war here of recent? Because definitely the roads look like they have been bombed. But bombing can also be by neglect. In the UK, you have got England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. But the best example is that of Wales. They started decentralization by declaring what they call the Welsh Development Agency. Now they have gone into a fully fledged Welsh regional government. Now that is decentralization which is moving forward. Why do we advocate for greater devolution of power as DP? Because we believe that decision making on resource allocation, development, and democratic governance should be made at the closest proximity to those affected by it. It empowers the communities and it provides ownership. And above all, it provides for equitable development and ensures accountability. Imagine if whatever I collected in my local church went to the bishop, then the bishop decides what should come back. I think I will eventually start reducing what I put in the bag. Our diversity as Uganda is something which is a blessing. It is not a curse. Are we not blessed that we are so diverse? We have Bakonzo, we have Banyarwanda, we have Bagisu, we have Basebei, we have Baganda, we have Bacholi, Barugwara, we have Basoga. Are we not blessed that we have that variety? You saw it during Chogam. Was that not a blessing? Imagine if we were just one tribe, one dance, one language, one type of food. So this is a blessing. So I disagree with those who think that our diversity is a problem. What can be a problem is if one group becomes too dominant and starts loading it over others. Class in Uganda should use our diversity as an effective vehicle for building national unity in diversity. This is something that we have thought about seriously. Finally, as president of the party, I'm going to be touring Uganda. First, to meet the leaders of the party. I have heard some people saying they have a problem with the leadership of Mao because when they declare that they are DP, they are put on trial, that they have got to defend themselves. There is nothing to defend, but there is something to explain. There's no accusation against DP. I've never heard any accusation. Unless somebody thinks that we are such a bunch of fools. Last week I was somewhere in Western Uganda and I was talking about our Vice President for Western Uganda, Imam Makumbi. He has been contesting for a position in this, he's there. He has been contesting in a place called Masha to become the LC3 chairman. So when I told them that, why don't you vote for this person? Why are you always ignoring Imam Makumbi? Because Imam Makumbi is a father. He owns his own homes, both in Kampala and in Isinjiro. He's not like these lumpens running around with no roots, claiming to be leaders. He has a business, he has a farm, he even gave me a cow. I need to go and collect it. He has got a farm. He is a member of the parliament of the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, elected. So I told them, why would you not vote for such a person if you love yourselves? Why would you vote for somebody because you think he belongs to your party, but he leaves you in tears every 5 years? Then somebody shouted, wrong party. That's when I almost cut wires, as they say. So I then said, that's exactly the mentality we need to destroy in Uganda. You start by saying wrong party, then next, wrong tribe, then next, wrong religion. So I said, stop that kind of thinking. Because if that is your thinking, then you are not even a true supporter of President Museveni. If everybody was to act according to their tribe, then we who are in the north, we would stop all the vehicles you are using to take your vegetables and other crops to South Sudan. And your pineapples and so on would rot in the gardens. So I told him, do you want us to experiment for only 1 week so that you begin to realize that you need others? So I told him that I'm in DP is not because I'm not aware that there are other parties. There is NUP, there is FDC, there's NRM. Are you saying I'm an idiot that I can't make up my own mind to belong to where I want to belong? Said, stop insulting me. So tomorrow, if NRM is out of power, would we be right as DP when we're in government to say, you are in the wrong party? So I think DP members and citizens need to start pushing back against political rascality, because that's really rascality. When you go to the market, do you say that this is a wrong mudala? Whether your tomatoes are not the best, the market should allow you to put them there. Let the buyers decide. But you cannot pass judgment and say, this is, provided it has the minimum requirement. So, I have discovered that there's a lot of wrong thinking in Uganda, and we must correct it. Fortunately, we are standing after very many trials as DP. Unfortunately, as Norbert Mao, I know all the actors. Just name any actor in Uganda, and I tell you that I know all of them inside and out. And that's why they have now reduced their attacks on me, because they know I'm capable of undressing them, and undressing them very badly. Let every party go to the people and let the people decide. And I've found that the majority of the people who comment about our party don't even belong to our party. And they don't even love our party. The other day I had some masquerader on Twitter saying, Mao, you betrayed us. I said, you can only betray somebody who believes in you. You have never believed in me, so how can I betray you? You were only happy seeing me stuck somewhere. Now that we are getting unstuck, all of a sudden you are talking like a hypocrite. Only those who believe in us have a right to comment on what we are doing. So VP who are rocking the boat, please do it inside the party organs. Because we liberated this party in 2010. And it is our duty to keep it liberated. So we are not going to allow any infections from outside, because a lot of our members are tuning in to false radio stations. If you feel like those parties represent your ideas best, the doors are open, because a political party has two doors. One is marked entry, another one is marked exit. Please use the exit. Nobody is going to hold you as a prisoner in DP. Please go where you are happy. Unfortunately, those who thought they had gone where they are happy are now coming back crying. We are hearing them screaming and screaming.
And they meet us at night, not during the day.
And during the night when they meet us, they are like they are confessing. So, use these two doors. Fortunately, the door of entrance is now crowded. I was very happy the other day when I saw a young lady declaring that she's going to contest for woman MP. Now, this young lady decided that she was from Mutesa One Royal University, said, the Kabaka has been telling the youth to step forward and be part and parcel of national leadership. So I'm declaring that I'm contesting for parliament in the next election on a DP ticket. Now, those are the true DPs whose statues should be standing in this compound, not these fake people who I have previously described as the leaves. So I'm satisfied that 2025, when I hit the ground hard, we will explain. What we are going to do is called okunyonyola, not okwewozako, because we are not being charged with anything. Because some of our DP leaders don't know the difference between okunyonyola and okwewozako. Okwewozako means you are being accused and charged. Okunyonyola means you are in charge of the debate and you are explaining why you have taken action, and that you are going to continue along that path whether people agree with you or not. Otherwise, you will end up like that character who was taking a donkey to the market and he was riding it, his son was walking. Then some bypasser said, why are you riding? Why don't you let your son ride the donkey? Then he got off and put his son to ride the donkey. Then they met another commentator who said, you son, you are young. Why do you let your old father struggle walking? You should be the one walking. So the son now said, father, come and we ride the donkey together. They met another commentator who said, poor donkey. Imagine two adults on this donkey. This donkey has really suffered. They both came down and decided to carry the donkey now. So some of our DP leaders are like that. They listen to stupid opinions from all quarters. Those people don't care about you. They only want to weaken you. DP has been the glue of the opposition in Uganda. You can see since DP disengaged from the opposition circus, you can see what is happening. You can see the confusion, because we have always been the glue, because we are the mature party. We are the party that has the conscience of Uganda. You can now see Katonga, Najana Nkumbi, Sijui DA, Sijui Holy Alliance. I don't know where there's an unholy alliance. Then you see rabid musicians. So you are running away from one musician, embracing another musician. if you say musicians are unfit, so now why are you again running to another musician? This is really, really comedy of the highest order. You start saying, I won't follow a musician. Then you call another one and give them the high table, only for them to turn on you and declare your political enterprises. Really, I hope you people see that DP decided for the first time to be selfish on behalf of Uganda. Because we have done everything for others. When Amama Mbabazi came, we were there for him. Besigye, we were there for him. The last one, we lifted up Bobby Wine and his group. We spent a lot of money, over 400 million shillings of party money on reunion.
It was 700.
Yeah, I'm being told that if you look at even the debts we had to pay eventually, it went up to 700. So you do all that, and all they do is to insult you further. So this time, we are doing what we believe is in the best interest of Uganda, based on the reality of Uganda, not based on some imaginary thing, some illusions. First, let me state the obvious. Laws are not suggestions. Laws demand total compliance. But I do not know what the general interpretation has been, or whether anybody has applied for bond and has been denied, because it is you, the journalists, to really see. What I understood from the president's speech, I think the president was lamenting. The president was lamenting about our broken system, where you accuse somebody of an offense before you reach home, assuming the person is your neighbor. He is already there in his own compound, laughing at you. Now, I want you to go back to the oath of the president. The oath of the president says he has got to promote the welfare of the citizens of Uganda. Now, you, as a journalist, or as a person, Mao, who is your neighbor, commits a crime, cuts down your banana plantation, breaks your wall, and you report him for malicious damage to property, and you leave him at the police. Maybe because you are walking back home, before you reach, you hear that he's already back home. What would you think? So, the president was lamenting the lack of clear judgment, in my opinion, of those who make decisions about these crimes. So I think he used that platform to lament. I don't think the president can amend the law by a pronouncement. But those who implement the law are letting down the law. You heard how he talked about these Bijambia people in Masaka. You heard about the Karachunas, these people who were terrorizing Karamoja. Karamoja was impossible. There was no tourism. So, if you are seated where you are sitting, perhaps you talk like that. Now, as Minister of Justice and as a lawyer, I can tell you that, because you asked me, is it right? He has expressed his opinion. But the law empowers police officers to give police bond. And they must act within the law. It is my duty as Minister of Justice to advise the president. A minister is not the one who is elected president. So he shares a bit of his powers given by the people to ministers, a number of ministers.
Talked about the bonds and bail.
And as far as bail is concerned, bail is part of the right to a fair trial. Because when you get bail, then you go and organize how to defend yourself. Because if you are in prison, you may fail to organize your own defense. Fortunately, it is possible to correct these things. But I want you people to also help me and do some research. Go to the police stations and ask, are you people giving bond? And which cases are cases for bond? Many times, people report cases in the police to harass people. I'm on police bond myself.
Since 2000 what?
During the Tojikwata Ko, I was arrested and taken to Kira police station. And I was given a police bond. And I went there over 20 times reporting. Because when you are given a police bond, it is believed that your file is being processed. But because of the congestion and so on, okay, I hadn't stolen anything. Mine was, I was accused of illegal assembly and inciting violence and such offenses. So I reported to Kira Road Police Station over 20 times. And then I told my lawyer that, do you really think I should continue going? Then he said, if you don't go, perhaps they'll arrest you. So I'm still waiting to be collected. So I think really, perhaps those who are being given bond are people who shouldn't even be the police in the first place. Then secondly, sometimes they use criminal law on civil matters. Somebody reports you to the police on a civil matter. So I am here on a police bond. He is on, I think he's on bail. Yes, he's on bail. He's on bond. So going to cut off his head. I think we expect that you journalists are trained to analyze things. Now, if you want my own view, I start from the last post he made. He said that nobody should take his post seriously. I hope you read that one. So what do you make of that one? I personally don't take social media too seriously. Actually, social media is largely for entertainment. If you want to use social media for another purpose, I think you will be a very miserable person. So when I'm on social media, I post something, then you have a long list of insults. If I were to take those insults very seriously, I wouldn't sleep at night. But there are things that we don't know about how politicians relate. I saw when he posted about Honorable Chagulanyi, then Honorable Chagulanyi instead said the international community is watching. I thought we were his constituency. We are the constituency of Honorable Chagulanyi, not the international community. That international community has betrayed Afghanis. It has betrayed so many people. I would warn anybody, if we were depending on international community, we would still be having a mean here. If Rwanda was waiting for international community, more than 2 million people would have been killed. So I do not know why he decided to engage, because when you look at the trends of the tweets, there are tweets that he himself says should not be taken very seriously. He says he does it for fun, and that is that. Now, that said, is the Chief of Defense Forces, and it is up to the Commander-in-Chief to really intervene. I do not know whether you journalists have requested for an interview with the Commander-in-Chief to ask him, because I would like my country to be taken seriously, and I haven't spoken to the CDF in a while, but when I next talk to him, I'll tell him that journalists asked me this question. And when he gives me his answer, I'll give you. Because a CDF is a very important position. And whether he says his words should be taken lightly, nobody is going to take his words lightly. Because, you know, if I say I'm going to kill you, and I'm just empty-handed and so on, but if I'm in charge of the entire killing machine, and I say I'm going to kill you, I don't think you would feel very comfortable. But like I said, I will put the question to him, because I want to get his answer. What you have got is my answer, which is that even if you say your words should not be taken seriously, on account of who you are and the position you hold, people are bound to take whatever you say very seriously. So it is important to exercise restraint. Imagine if, as president of DP, I start by saying, tomorrow I'm going to dissolve the National Executive Committee. I may not actually do it, but somehow the members of the National Executive Committee will start saying, he is the president, he's the chief executive of the party, and people take him seriously. This and this. Or if the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese says, I believe that in the next 5 years we are going to witness the first weddings by Catholic priests. Obviously, you say, surely, no. Even Church Ambrose will be concerned. And since he's a walking distance from the Archbishop's house, if the Archbishop Paul Semogere tweeted like that and said, in the next 5 years, we are going to be witnessing the first weddings by Catholic priests in Rubaga Cathedral, I think that everything would turn upside down. So your concerns are definitely valid on account of the position he holds and the fact that we live in a country where there should be due process. Before your head is cut off, you must be charged, you must be tried, and then sentenced to death. Because things have changed. Even the king of Buganda can no longer order your execution. You know, in the days of Sekabaka Mutesa, the first, when he was given a gun, and he was told that you just point it at the person and press the trigger and the person drops dead. He said, sure. Yeah, do you mean it? He called one of the people, stand there quickly. And you must come and prostrate in appreciation that of all the people, you are the one who has been chosen. Then he stands there and he presses the trigger. That's according to the story I read. The person falls dead. The whole palace cheers. Then he said, another one, you come. You come and prostrate in appreciation again. And until he was satisfied. Or ordering the execution of the Uganda martyrs. That one can no longer happen. Because they were not based on a democratic constitution. So your questions are definitely serious. We must demand and require that, what sort of country do we want to have? That's an important question. What sort of Uganda do we want to have? Otherwise, we don't want the leader of the leading opposition party to run away into exile. We want him around. We want him to feel that, you know, this is his country. So I will pass on your question. But you have got my opinion. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is
The second one, where there's a will, there's a way. You saw how Parliament dealt with UNRWA and UCDA. There's really not a lot of debating to be done about these things. Ugandans want a government which represents them. And that's why we talk of free and fair elections. I took the bill to make electronic voting mandatory to cabinet. That was early last year. For those who may have forgotten, the bill requires that there should be biometric machines at every polling station. And unlike the current ones we have been using, they'll not only be using fingerprints, they'll also be using biometric features like facial appearance, so it will be double biometrics. And the purpose is to deal with the problem of ballot stuffing. We have received a lot of reports, and it we do as DP. We are the leaders of the party, and we have the responsibility to lead it. And really, for us to take your advice seriously, we must first of all take you seriously. Now, many of the people offering advice are really not really intelligent even. Because for you to advise me, I must first respect you. Now, if I don't respect you, your advice is useless to me. It is just street talk. There are those whose advice we take seriously. They are DP elders. And it is not true that we have started explaining, oh, Kunyonyola, now. You have been in Uganda. I think you have seen how we have really struggled to explain. But you cannot explain to people whose minds are closed. You see, even if I brought the Pope to the witch doctors, nothing will change because they are convinced with their Musambwa, they believe in their Bajaja. It really won't make a difference. So Okunyonyola is for those who are open-minded. It is not for those who are not willing to change, and they are not willing even to consider your ideas. We have done enough explanation, but remember, there are also those who are distorting the message. Let me give the example of the cooperation agreement. When we signed it, there are those who decided to draft a fake one, and they distributed it. And the fake cooperation agreement said that Norbert Mao and President Museveni signed an agreement declaring that DP will not open branches in Buganda. Now, you would be an idiot to say your party should not open a branch in a very key region like that. But unfortunately, in the world we have people who have weak minds. And the weak minds can absorb any sort of rubbish. So a lot of the people would meet us and say, is it true that now there will be no DP in Buganda? They even have the answer. So you really need to keep explaining. Otherwise, the churches would have closed. How come they are still doing Okunyonyola 2,000 years after Jesus left? Every Sunday, every time there are prayers, they are preaching, telling you. Every Christmas, they are reminding you. So it is the job of a politician to do Okunyonyola, because people are bound to forget. And there are also infections. It is like there's no vaccine against this kind of thing. You must keep on treating yourself against it. It is not true that we are doing the explaining too late. Those who love the party, I have understood. Those who don't love the party have made up their minds. And that's why I said we have these two doors. Because the party is not likely to change its current trajectory based on the situation in Uganda. There is not likely to be any big change. And we value the views of minorities in DP, but at the same time, we don't give them the power to veto what the party does. So, since you said I should explain in Luganda, Oksoke Dadala, some time back, for the candidate of Iyala, it was so tense. In fact, the winner won by 2 votes. Now, those are free and fair elections. Because people are free to, I can see the chair of our electoral commission is thumping himself on the chest. So, the loser must also lose with dignity, knowing that he has not been cheated. And the winner should also walk with their head high, knowing that they have won legitimately. So that is my answer to your question. What was this first one?
The first one was about...
Oh, the time. I answered that already. I said that first, I don't think the problem is really the law, but it is the culture. Even you journalists have been beating up each other in your Uja elections. Why do you do that? The other day you couldn't even vote. Imagine you are so few. Now imagine the whole country of millions. People cannot agree. In universities, people cannot agree. So let us just change the culture. So I know the cost of losing a political position is high, because if you have been used to a big convoy, you have all the power, then all of a sudden, it is always a sad occasion. You have seen in Britain, you must resign, take your letter to the king, then the other person goes and receives the letter. In America, you attend the inauguration of the president, then they give you one last aeroplane flight to take you to your village. Then you become a former president. But if we really believe in renewing, you can be very effective, even as a former president. You saw Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter did more as a former president than as a president. So I want to promise that I'll take back the proposals and hear what cabinet has to say. Let's have those who will win. I wish that was your question. Because we have parties in parliament who have 1 MP, but they had many candidates. So the things keeping me awake is not that nobody will make DP posters, but the question is whether they will actually win. So we are concerned about targeting constituencies where we believe we can have candidates who can win. But it is like a football season. When a new season is beginning, the good players look for which clubs are available. So we may get some very good players from other clubs, and there are clubs that are having serious problems, as you can see. So many of their players may come and wear our uniform, and we shall welcome them. But as to that we shall not have candidates or we shall have few, that is out of the question. DP is a serious actions. Of course, cabinet discussions are confidential. They are secret. But the major objection is that machines can fail, and that sometimes there may be problem of network,
and power,
and then electricity and malice. So you could summarize it as a trust issue. People don't trust the machines. But we gave an answer. Now in India, to avoid the allegations of interference, now that brings me to the second objection. The second objection was that electronic voting will open our voting to rigging by computer hackers. That if you have electronic voting, people will plant a bug and distort the votes, like they said in Venezuela. You heard in Kenya they claimed that a system called Pegasus was used to rig the elections. But as usual, for us, we are not in this to win debates. We are not here to win an argument. Ours is to solve a problem. Which problem is the credibility of elections. That's what we really want. No matter who people want to vote, but there should be a credible election, which is free and fair. So we studied India. In India, all the machines are offline. They are actually not connected to any internet. The machine stands alone. It has nothing to do with any network at all. And it stands alone the way you can have a calculator with a memory. You remember those old calculators? You calculate, it has a memory, it cannot link to any other gadget. So we have an answer to that. But we shall go back and see what is happening. So those are really the major objections. Maybe there are others. But those objections are not only in cabinet, they are also out here. Then I think that you are one of those who is tired of Norbert Mao being president of DP. I am assuming that you are so tired of seeing my face. I thought you were talking about a bigger position of the president of Uganda. I actually was mixing up that question. Very soon you are going to ask the kings of our country when they are stepping down. When will you end with your questions? The first thing I said when I came here is that the party has a constitution. There have been proposals that we should put term limits in the party constitution. The term limits were proposed in the last delegates conference, and the delegates rejected it. And so this is a question which is not really about Norbert Mao. However sick and tired you are, you may be of Norbert Mao. The constitution does not bar anybody from running for another term. I know parties which have term limits, and it includes like FDC, I think they have a term limit. UPC doesn't have a term limit. NRM doesn't have a term limit. NUP doesn't have a term limit.
They have a constitution.
And others don't even have a constitution. But to be fair to you, if the members who want term limits want the matter to be discussed again, it will be discussed. But your question is a constitutional matter. So apparently you are one of those who would encourage DP to have term limits. But that is up to DP really to decide. Ng'omukulembeze w'ekibiina kya DP, njagala abantu bonna bakimanye nti ekibiina kyaffe weekiri kiramu era kinywevu. Ekyokubiri, ng'omukulembeze wa DP, omwezi guno ngenda kutandika okutalaaga eggwanga lyonna okukola ebintu bisatu: okunnyonnyola wawe tuvudde ng'ekibiina, wawe tuli ne wawe tulaga. Ekyokubiri, kuzzaamu bannakibiina kyaffe amaanyi basobole okuvaayo okwesowolayo bakwate tikiti ya Democratic Party basobole okuvuganya. Kibiina kyaffe kye kyalwanirira enkola eya multi-party democracia. N'olwekyo w'okwata bendera y'ekibiina oba oli mukiise okiikirira ebirowoozo by'ekibiina ekikuwadde tikiti. Ekyokusatu, tulina okunnyonnyola enkolagana eri wakati wa DP n'ekibiina kya NRM. Abamu olw'okubanga balina emitima eminafu bagenda ne bagamba balina obuzibu okwogera ku nkolagana eri wakati wa DP ne NRM kubanga bo balowooza nti buli gye balaga balina okwewozaako. Njagala kugumya abantu ng'abo tewali kyakwewozaako kubanga tetulina musango. Nga pulezidenti w'ekibiina tewaliwo kintu kyonna mu constitution ya DP eyali eŋŋaana okuteesa na buli kibiina kyonna, era nga bwe twakikola nga tuteesa n'ebibiina ebirala nga UPC mu 1996 ne tusaawo enkola eya interparty cooperation, interpolitical forces cooperation, IPFC. Era y'enkola emu eyatuleetera okubeera n'enkolagana n'ebibiina ebirala ne tusaawo ki TDA, the Democratic Alliance, mu biseera bya Amama Mbabazi mu 1916. N'olwekyo kye tugenda okukola kya kunnyonnyola so si kwewozaako. Waliwo njawulo nnene wakati w'okwewozaako n'okunnyonnyola. Okunnyonnyola kitegeeza nti olina omusango. Ekyokulabirako abakulu b'amadiini buli lwe wabeerawo okusaba mu makereziya oba amakanisa babeera bannyonnyola ensonga za Mukama Katonda kubanga sitaani abawaayiriza n'abateekako emisango egitaliiwo. Kati w'obanga oli mubuulizi w'enjiri ng'olowooza nti sitaani ye muwaabi olina kwewozaako, tobeera mubuulizi w'enjiri omutuufu. N'olwekyo ffe ng'abakulembeze ba DP tetulina mulimo gwa kwewozaako wabula mulimo gwa kunnyonnyola kubanga agenda yaffe, ebirowoozo byaffe era tubikiririzaamu era tulowooza nti bye bintu ebigenda okutwala ekibiina kyaffe n'eggwanga lyaffe mu maaso. Njagala kulangirira mu butongole ti nga bwe kiri mu tteeka erifuga ebibiina, etteeka eriyitibwa Political Parties and Organizations Act, buli kibiina kirina okulonda obukulembeze obupya mu mwaka ogwokuna eya Parliament, era gwe guno omwaka gwe tulimu. Mu kalulu akaggwa ebibiina ebingi tebyalonda bukulembeze, naye ffe nga DP tuli basanyufu kubanga twasobola okutuuza Delegates Conference era ne tulonda obukulembeze obupya. Naye nga tetunagenda mu tabamiruka mu Delegates Conference egenda okubeerawo nga omwezi gwa June tegunnaba kuggwa, era tusuubira mu myezi egitali gyawala office ya Secretary General ejja kulangirira mu butongole tujja kuba tumaze okutalaga eggwanga tusobole okusinkana abakulembeze baffe. Abantu bateekwa okumanya bino. Mu DP tulina abawagizi, tulina ne bammemba. Waliwo enjawulo wakati w'abammemba n'abawagizi. Osobola okubeera ng'osabira mu kereziya ey'Abakatuliki, naye okubeera mmemba w'ekereziya olina kubanga oli mubatize ate nga wakwata ne konfirimasiyo. Ebyo bw'obanga tewabikola toli memba era tebayinza nakulonda kukulembeza akabondo, kulembera akabondo. Ne mu DP ennaku zino waliwo abawagizi aboogera n'eddoboozi erya waggulu ennyo ne beerabira nti bo bawagizi. Kati nga bano abeeyambaza zi t-shirt za Man U, Arsenal. Man U weba esalawo ani abeera goalkeeper, gwe tebakwebuuzaako ne woobanga gw'osinga kerere mu mabaala mu kuwagira ttiimu ezo. Ate okwanirizibwa mu delegates conference olina kubanga ofunye ebbaluwa eva ewa secretary general Dr. Gerard Siranda Blacks ng'ekuyita mu butongole kisebo tukusaba osaanidde ojo oteese ku lw'ekibiina kubanga waliwo abateeseza ekibiina kyaffe mu bibiina ebirala ate waliwo abateeseza ekibiina kyaffe mu nkuŋŋaana ezitali official. Mu DP tuyina organs ezituuza meeting ey'oku ntikko ye delegates conference gye njogeddeko. Abamu bayinza okwebuuza ti mu kalulu akaddako DP mwetuli oba tetuliimu. Abantu ababuuza ekibuuzo ekyo nandibayisa abagwagwa naye lwa nsonyi sijja kukyogera. DP CNGO. DP kibiina kya byabufuzi era kiteekwa okuteekawo ba candidates ku buli kifo okutandikira ku bwa president paka ku LC1. Kati akamyufu akasooka oba primaries esookera ddala mu DP ye primary election elonda n'akwatira DP bendera ku bwa president. N'olwekyo woba olonda president wa DP olina okubanga omuntu oyo omulaba mu kifaananyi kya president w'eggwanga. Ekyo kye kirina okukulembera. Tetulonda mukulembeze wa NGO, tukulembeza omuntu alina ebisaanizo n'obusobozi obusobola okutalaaga Uganda, kubanga eyo ye liigi ya President General wa Democratic Party. Ekyokubiri, we bakulonda nga president wa DP kitegeeza nti omaliridde okuvuganya ku bwa president w'eggwanga. Eyo ye primary election esooka. Oluvannyuma tujja kufuna abagenda okusaba okuvuganya ku bwa parliament ku tikiti ya DP. Abamu bayinza okuba nga balowooza abantu abasinga osanga tebajja kwagala kwata tikiti ya DP. Ekyo kya bulimba era abawogera ekyo baagala kutumalamu maanyi. Ekibiina kyaffe abantu bakikiririzaamu olw'ennono zaakyo n'olw'ebirowoozo. Tusuubira okubeera ne bamemba abagenda okuvuganya ku bwa parliament, naye kisingira ddala si kuvuganya wabula kuwangula. Ekyo kye kitusuza nga tutunula, so si kino nti tunaafuna abanaakwata bendera ya DP. Abo tujja kubafuna. Mu kaseera kano waliwo bangi abagenda okuvaayo basabe tikiti nga bava mu bibiina ebirala, era tubalinze. Tumaze okuwandiisa naye tugenda kunyweza register nga tukozesa internet. Mu wiiki ejja tugenda kuteekawo ennamba y'essimu eya toll free. Buli akuba teyeetaaga kusasula. Ekyokubiri, waliwo website yaffe democraticparty.ug. Naddala Gen Z abavubuka ekyo kye baagala. Bo tebaagala kujjuza mafoomu oba kukola bino ebya analog. DP nayo erina okubeera up to date. Registers ezo zonna omuntu akulembedde omulimu ogwo ye National Organizing Secretary. Record ejja kubeera ne Secretary General. Naye nga okuwandiisa bammemba tekujja kukoma. Buli ayagala okubeera memba wa DP saawa yonna oli wa ddembe okuyingira. Tetuyinza gamba nti tugaddewo kati okuwandiisa bammemba. Twetaaga bammemba, n'olwekyo olugirinda kubeera nga lugule. Waliwo ensonga ezitusoomooza, naye ekyo kibaawo kubanga abamu balowooza nti ekibiina kirina kutambulira ku birowoozo byabwe. Kino ekibiina kirina ssemateeka era buli kye tukola kirina kwesigama ku ssemateeka. Tulina enzigi bbiri, olugi oluyingira mu kibiina n'olugi olufuluma. Oyo yenna awulira nga asaanidde okubeera awalala, oba waliwo ekibiina ekirala ekisinga okumukolera, oba ekigoberera ebintu by'ayagala okukola, oba ebinaamutuusa gy'ayagala okulaga, akozesa olugi olwokubiri oluyitibwa exit, ofune essanyu gy'olaga. Naye mu kulaba kwange, naddala ennaku zino, waliwo baafuluma ekibiina kyaffe ne bagenda mu bibiina ebirala, naye ndowooza enduulu muziwulira. Si basanyufu, babayisa bubi. Ekyo kireetedde naddala abannamawulire okutubuuza ti abo abaava mu kibiina bwe baba baagala okukomawo munaabaaniriza. Tulina abantu bwe batyo ba bika bibiri. Ekika ekisooka beebo be tuyita endiga ezaabula. Endiga ezaabula tuzimanyi, tezeetegeerera, baazibuzaabuza, tujja zinoonya tuzikomyewo. Naye waliwo abalala be tuyita abaana abaazaawa. Abaana abaazaawa bagenda ne bakakanyala, ne batandika okuvoola ekibiina n'obukulembeze bwakyo, ne balowooza nti bo baamaanyi, ne batandika okuzimba emitwe. Naye kati gye balaze babayisizza bubi, era balinga ng'oli omwana ali mu Bayibuli, okuliira mu sowaani emu n'embizi. Tubawulira, emiranga tugiwulira, naye abo abaana tetujja kubanoonya kubanga ekkubo eribazza balimanyi. Ffe tuli mu luggya lwaffe, tubalindiridde. Era bwe banaaba basobodde okweddako, bakwate ekkubo bakomewo, kubanga bo be baasalawo bo bennyini ti ekibiina bakikoowa. Tujja kubaaniriza, naye nga bwe kibeera naddala wano mu Buganda, tujja kusooka tubakoleko emikolo. Emikolo gyetaagisa kubanga tetumanyi gye babadde, oba balina ziyirizi, osanga bazze n'emisambwa, baleese zikifaaru. Era tubasabire tubakoleko emikolo, tulabe nga basaanidde okuyingira. N'ewaffe eyo mu Mambuka, ekyokulabirako obanga obadde mu buyeekera, oba tonayingira mu luggya lwa kitaawo ng'okomyewo, sooka n'olinnya ku ggi, ne bakunaaza n'oddawo ng'omuntu. Njagala kugumya bannakibiina kyaffe. Temutya, kubanga tuyise mu bintu bingi. Abantu abatwogerako amafuukuule tebamanyi gye tuvudde. Kino ekibiina twasobola okukinunula mu 2010 tukituusiza we tuli. Tetujja kukkiriza muntu yenna atamanyi nnono za kibiina ateesigamye ku constitution y'ekibiina okujja okutabula ekibiina. Tugenda mu kulonda nga tuli bamalirivu kubanga obukulembeze weebuli era abakulembera ekibiina kino bakikiririzaamu. Abatakikiririzaamu ekyombo kyaffe baakivaamu dda ne bakwata obwato, ekyombo kyaffe ne bakikumamu omuliro nga kati balowooza nti tekijja kubeerawo, naye bagenze balaba nga ekintu kikyaseeyeeya. Abamu ekyo kibawadde ennaku ate tibakyaliwo. Ndowooza bannayuganda batandise okitegeera nti DP kyekibiina ekibadde nga glue mu opposition ya Uganda olw'embeera gye tuyiseemu, kubanga bulijjo ffe tubeereddewo opposition. Ffe twayaniriza Dr. Besigye, ffe twayaniriza Mama Mbabazi. Buli awulira obubi asibira mu luggya lwaffe olwa DP. Naye ku luno tusazeewo twezuule nga Democratic Party nga tetufuddeeyo nnyo, tufaayo ku nsonga za Uganda. Era kati muwulira buli ayagala okubeera wa nsonga mu Uganda alina okwogera olulimi lwa DP: transition, constitutional reform, national dialogue, national reconciliation. Awatali ekyo toyala. Ate nga basooka kutwogerera na kutuvuma, tosobola kubeera relevant mu byabufuzi. N'abaali bakakanyadde kati obawulira tuli ready okwogeraganya ne President Museveni. Tumanyi mpulira Secretary General agamba nti batuwandiikidde. Kati mubalaba abatayina kusinkana buli muntu yenna tumuwulirize. Tujja kuwuliriza kubanga tuli bampisa. Bwe tutakikola tetujja kubeera ba DP kubanga bulijjo ffe tusooka okwogera abantu be batayagala kwogera. Mu 96 Dr. Semogere yasooka ogamba nti tuteese n'omuyeekera Joseph Kony, ne bamuvuma ne bamumalako n'ekitiibwa. Bwakomyawo Obote ayagala Joseph Kony ajja afuge Uganda, naye we kyagwera nga gavumenti ya Uganda teteesezza ne LRA. N'olwekyo bammemba ba DP mutandike okwekkiririzaamu, naye okusinziira ku experience ya DP ku luno tukwate ekkubo lye tumanyi ate twesalirewo nga bwe tusazeewo. Abalala tujja kubawuliriza kubanga tulina obwongo bwaffe. Ffe tubadde tuteeseza opposition. Olaba kati tetuliiyo mu katemba waabwe. Katembaga muziraba eziri mu opposition. N'ababadde bagamba nti bagoberera bayimbi kati wekigweredde batandise okugoberera abayimbi abalala, ate abasinga nabali abalala mu kusiiwuka empisa. Tukubiriza ekibiina ekiri mu buyinza ekya NRM kiwulirize abantu abalina ensonga zennyini, ate basse ekitiibwa mu bibiina ebiriwo ebiina obukulembeze obwensa n'ensonga ezirina amakulu. Awatali ekyo bajja kwesanga nga ekisaawe ekijjuddemu bafangoni, kubanga toyinza kubeera n'omuzannyo gw'omupiira ng'abakijjuddemu bakutte amajambiya. Awo ne bw'obeera Messi ekisaawe ekyo tosobola kukisambiramu. Kati w'ogoba ba Messi mu kisaawe ekiddako ba majambiya. Ate ekyo tekijja kukolera ggwanga. Kumaliriza nga tukaatiriza ensonga eri wano mu Buganda. Okusookera ddala w'otunulira Buganda, kubanga abaatandika DP baava wano mu Buganda. Abasajja eŋŋwaŋŋuli 8 abaatandika ekibiina kyaffe. Buganda weewulira nga teteredde bulungi mu Uganda, n'olugendo lwa Uganda terujja kutambula bulungi. Ate tewali kibiina kitegeera Buganda kusinga Democratic Party. Mu kusookera ddala ffe twawabula ne Buganda mu myaka gy'enkaaga ne batuvuma, naye ensonga zaabwe ne UPC zagwera mu maziga, naye nga ffe twali tumaliriza okubawabula. W'otunulira namba y'abantu ababeera mu Buganda, saizi ya Buganda, Uganda weeri geographically, enkulakulana, standard y'ebyenjigiriza n'ebyamaguzi, naddala ebyasigalira Buganda ng'abazungu bavuddewo. Tosobola kuwakanya Mazurui kye yagamba nti Buganda is a heartland tribe. Nga bw'onootunuulira Prussia mu Germany. N'olwekyo Buganda weebanga tetudde bulungi mu Uganda, kinaabanga mu African Union, Nigeria ne South Africa nga beediimye. N'olwekyo tugenda kuteeka essira mu kunnyonnyola ensonga zennyini. Abananfuusi baleme kukozesa nsonga za Buganda kuyisaawo bantu mu kalulu ate nga tebafaayo. Waliwo abaafuna obululu nga beesigamye ku nsonga za Buganda. Naye mbuulira motions meka ze mwakawulira mu Parliament ezikwata ku nsonga za Buganda. Nga DP tutunuulira ensonga z'ebintu bya Buganda. Gavumenti eriwo kati esobodde okukola nnyo ku bintu ebyo ebisinga, ebintu ebyo bye bayita ebyaffe. Sijja kwogera nnyo kubanga fayiro ezo ziri mu ofiisi yange. Ensonga ey'okubiri y'ensonga ya federo. Mu mwaka gwa 2008 nayogera ku lukiiko Buganda Conference, nga title ya speech yange yali nti ani atya federo. Nga DP twagala bannayuganda bakimanye nti federo si nsonga ya Buganda, federo nsonga ya Uganda yonna. Ate abantu 65 ku buli 100 abawaayo ensonga mu maaso go Doki Commission, akawandiika ssemateeka wa Uganda, baawagira enkola ya federo. Kati kaakano tulina ensonga ya decentralization, nayo tetukoledde bulungi. Lwaki twagala obuyinza bubeere wansi mu bantu? Kusookera ddala, omuntu waba asalawo, ekintu ky'asalawo kirina okumukosa waba asazeewo bubi. ate alina kufunamu waba asazeewo bulungi. We tuli kati abasalirawo Uganda basobola okusalirawo disitulikiti y'eggulu, naye nga we basalawo bubi tekibakosa kubanga tebabeera ggulu. Eyo y'enjawulo eri wakati w'enkola ya federal n'enkola endala zonna. If you make a correct decision, you get the rewards. If you make a wrong decision, you are punished. But currently, those who sit in Kampala make bad decisions on behalf of the districts, but they don't pay a price for the bad decisions. That is why we need to decentralize power. That power is power to make decisions. Ensonga endala, ebyenfuna, resource allocation, n'ebyenkulakulana. Ebyenkulakulana n'okusalawo naddala mu nkiiko birina kubeera nga bikolebwa abatuuze, so si muntu atudde Kampala nga ye teyeefiirayo. Ekyo kitukolera kubanga w'osalawo ng'omanya nti ekiddako gw'onoolaba kubanga naawe kikukwatako. Ekyokubiri, wajja kubeerawo bwenkanya. Ekyokusatu, omuzungu kyayita accountability. Bannayuganda tulinamu kabira nyingi. Oluusi abantu balowooza nti olw'okuba tulina kabira nyingi ekyo kibi, naye nga DP tulaba nga ekintu ekyo kirungi nnyo okubeera nga tulina variety ey'abantu. Ekyo kirabo ky'amaanyi nnyo okubanga tuli bangi, tuli mawanga mangi. Kirina okutuwa essanyu abantu baleme kulowooza nti Uganda yandibadde ne kabira emu. Ky'oba olaba nga DP ng'ekibiina bwe kyalaba nga waliwo okukoonagana wakati wa Bugisu ne Sebeyi, eyali Prime Minister wa Uganda n'asalawo afuule Sebeyi efuuke district kubanga yali eri wansi wa Bugisu, ng'abantu abasalirawo Sebeyi batuula Mbale. Bwe basalawo bubi abasebeyi bafuna ekibonerezo, naye bo tekibakwatako. Kino ekintu abantu baleme kumala gakibuukira kubanga abantu abasinga okwogera ku federo enkola eyo tebagitegeera. Batuwulirize ffe ng'aba DP kubanga ensonga zino ffe tuzitegeera ate tusobola okuzinnyonnyola bulungi nga bwe nkikoze kati. Ezikwata ku police bond ne bail. Nze nawuliriza President engeri gye yali ayogeramu, naye nga mu kulaba kwange yali akuba nduulu. Nga minisita owa ssemateeka ne Siga Eddamuzi, njagala bannayuganda bonna basooke bakimanye nti buli kintu ekiri mu mateeka tekiri negotiable. Ky'oba olaba nti amateeka gabeera mu buwandiike. Kantandike n'ensonga ya police bond. Nze naayogera ndi ku police bond. Imam ali ku police bond. Barbara, Ismail, Secretary General, bano abasinga bali ku police bond. Lwaki? Kubanga oluusi etteeka erya criminal balikozesa ate mu ngeri endala. Ndi ku police bond kubanga bankwata mu biseera bya togikwatako ne bantwala ku Kira Road Police Station, nasiibayo ekiro ne bampa bond ne baŋŋamba nti ojja kukomawo wano buli wiiki. Nagendayo emirundi nga 20 ne mbuuza looya wange era nzireyo, n'agamba bw'otaddayo bajja kukwata. naye weesalirewo nga ggwe. Nze ne nsalawo nti kijja kuddayo. Era nakati ninze bajje bankimeko. Kubanga we bakwata balina kutwala mu kooti. The police station is not the final destination ey'omuntu gwe bakutte. Naye abantu abasinga kati bo balooza tengeri president gy'ayogedde kitegeeza nti kati akyusizza etteeka. Etteeka palamenti yesobola okulikyusa. Bwe tunaaba tufunye instructions eziva ewa president timutunuulire amateeka ago mugakyuse, naffe tujja muwa ebirowoozo byaffe. Naye mu kulaba kwange president abadde ataddeko galubindi z'aba victims, kubanga mu Uganda ogenda n'oloopa ku poliisi oba tonatuukaka, ne gwe waloopye yatuuse ddekka amaze n'okulya anaabye n'okunaaba. Mu kulaba kwange eyo ye problem eriwo. Ti system tusobola okugidaabiriza tutya. Poliisi ereme kubeerawo ng'esiba abantu. Buli gwe bakwata bamugambe nti enkya ogenda mu kooti. Kooti yerina okusalawo. Ku nsonga ya beyiro, beyiro yeesigamye ku constitution. Lwaki amateeka gakukkiriza okufuna beyiro? Ofuna beyiro osobole okwetegeka weewozeeko ng'oli mu maaso ga kooti. Eyo y'ensonga ya beyiro. Naye nga bwe tunaaba tutudde, president ajja kutunnyonnyola tutegeere bulungi. Naye nga mu kulaba kwange abadde ataddeko galubindi z'aba victims. Nsaba mu abanamawulire mugende mwebuuzeko ku ba DPC ne ba OCs abali ku poliisi. Tikasookedde president awa speech eyo, waliwo gwe mwawaddeko ku police bond. Awo we mujja okutegeerera oba bakikola oba tebakikola. Eyo ansa yange ku nsonga eyo.